today is the first day when people can enroll in Obamacare, and they will see their health premiums going up substantially, often double, in some cases treble. Do you think that is going to be a new tipping point for people? I mean, it impacts 23 million people.
Of course it is. And what's also going up is electricity costs going up. It's like 21% higher than the inflation rate. So you got to deal with that, and insurance costs, and God knows what. No, people are not going to be able to afford it. The people that were on the exchange, you hear real life bar stories from people like, I was paying $450 a year, and I'm going to pay $2,200 a year. I just can't afford it, and that's very common. And these notices are going out as we're speaking, and it's going to. We hadn't begun to feel the real effect of this.
So, you mentioned the idea of economic rage, and the Oxford Dictionary has just released its word of the year, which is rage bait. As usual, you're right on the money. What exactly did you mean by that, and how can people display it?
Well, what it means, what I alert to, there's been a tremendous amount of generational theft from people, my generation, even generation after me, to the current young people, and they're going to figure it out. And the rage is what is our deficit now, like $38 trillion, $39 trillion, and they got nothing. They got nothing. They can't buy a house. I mean, in everything, our entire tax code is tilted toward savers, is tilted toward. You know, the way I describe it is there's two kinds of people in the world. Those that have it made. They have a savings account, they own their house, they have money in the bank, and they have health insurance, and they have all of the accoutrements that you would think of that are part of a good life. And then you have people that would like to have some power. And if the people with power block out everybody else with themselves, people will find a way to get around it, if you will. I mean, Lloyd Blankfein, this was back in the last decade, he was the chairman of Goldman Sachs. He said, we know how to create wealth, we just don't know how to distribute it. And as we go to more stratified, is, 7, 8 companies that make up X percent of the S&P or whatever it is, it's going to get worse. And if you don't do something and correct it and try to balance it out, and this is all happening, by the way, at 4% unemployment. Could you imagine what it's going to look like in 6.5% unemployment? So the people should be outraged at what we've done at our tax code. They should be outraged about how we don't give opportunity, and how we build more prisons and we build classrooms or any of the stuff you want to go through. There's a lot to be outraged about, a lot.
So what is the solution for Democrats? You've always maintained it's the economy, stupid. That was your sort of brilliant catchphrase, and yet the Democrats seem to move away from that. What happened, and how do they get it back?
Well, I think they did start moving back in the last election. I think Spanberger, I think Cheryl, and Freddie Mondami, that's all he talked about. So you're right. The party got, I don't know what happened. People lost their minds with this identity walk stuff. I wish somebody would explain it to me one day. I mean, it was so stupid, and it was so sticky, and the language just kind of debunked to you, no matter how, you couldn't wash the stench off. But what Democrats can do, when we talk about cost issues, affordability, and inflation, cost of living, whatever you want to call it, we always talk about what can we do to get the price down? Well, there's also another way that you can deal with this as another tool in the toolkit, and that's try to get wages up. All right? We have so you could raise the minimum wage, like it's been done in, 15 years or more than that maybe. And people said, well, I don't know how many people get there. Well, okay, but you're telling people we see you. Who's going to live on $8 an hour? And then a lot of companies take pride in the fact, well, we pay $4 or $5 above the minimum wage. Well, great. If the minimum wage is 8, then you're paying 13. Well, the minimum wage is 15, and you're paying 19. Our people need a raise. They need lower prices, but they need a raise also. Prices are not going to come down. If the inflation rate goes to zero, the price is still baked in. You see what I'm saying? It's just different. It doesn't cost $1, it costs $1.50. And you stop all inflation, well, it's still 50 cents more than it was before. And you got to deal with that too, paying people more.
You're calling for a minimum wage of $20. Is that manageable? I mean, I can already hear the mom and pop businesses saying we can't do that. If we have to go to $20 an hour, we're going to have to lose people. Our margins are so thin, we can't do that.
Well, your margins are thin because everybody around you is making $8 an hour. And you're right, if you had to pay $20 an hour, that would go to your bottom line, okay? But you'd be paying people a living wage. By the way, other people would be getting paid $20 an hour, so other people would come in and buy more of your product. I mean, what you're trying to do is say, I can't pay anybody because I'm right here and I'm living with the margin I have and the system I have, which is a very low wage system that we're living in. Well, understand that, but think of the possibility. Remember Henry Ford, for all of his faults, the university didn't take any word multitudinous. He was the first person to figure out, if you tell your people, they buy your product.
Right. Okay, good point. Yeah, very good point.
So if you worked for Ford, you could actually afford a Ford. What a drastic idea. In this world, it's going to cost, Seattle raised that wage, I don't know, $20 an hour or something, and it was going to cost all the jobs, and it was a doomsday and everything else. Of course, no such goddamn thing happened. California raised theirs. You can't get in and out burger. Every time I go, and the driver picks me up at LAX, and there's one, I guess, on Suburban, I'll say, well, let's stop at In-N-Out. I want to get a burger. Nah, never mind, the line's too long. I've never seen that place where they weren't ringing up the cash register, and they have a higher minimum wage. It's always the excuse. We can't raise taxes on rich people because they might leave. Well, you know what? If you can't pay 40%, carry on. Get out of here. All right? You think of the people that sacrificed this country, that marched and assaulted machine gun nests, that, the Revolutionary War, and you can't pay that? Well, carry your ass, man.
Carry your ass, man. I love that expression. Okay, that's a good expression for a Monday. So James, what do you think the tariffs have done to the economy? I mean, some days there are tariffs, other days we're not sure if there are tariffs. It's making very difficult for businesses to manage. What are your thoughts on the tariffs?
I don't think tariffs. I think the waiting authorities that don't work very well. And some people claim that if you're limited, they can have some values. The economy is really big, okay? And the amount that the tariffs affect is probably not as big as we think. But, for certain products and certain things, and a lot of them, they're trying to adjust to the higher tariffs. So they put off and ahead inventory, but it's going to kick in more and more. And it doesn't produce the kind of revenue that Trump thinks it produces. It produces some, but not a great deal. And, Democrats have never been a pro-tariff party. And what you just end up hurting out there over a long period of time are agrarian interests, because American agriculture is very much a worldwide product.
Okay, so you mentioned Zoran Mamdani earlier, and he's been utterly focused on the word affordability. We saw him last week, or 10 days ago now, meeting Donald Trump. What was your impression of their meeting? Because I think it surprised a lot of people.
I guess, this is my impression. You have to understand that Trump, everyone gets to my point. I'm not using this just for a way to attack Trump. He doesn't care about anything but himself. All right? I forgot the Republican House majority of Mike Johnson. Mike Johnson is a trouser stain to Donald Trump.
Mike Johnson is a trouser stain? How fantastic. You're full of very vibrant images this morning.
So then you have the whole box edifice, so the whole Newsmax, the whole New York Post operation.
Yeah.
It was the now of urban Mamdani. Everything has been done. These are such as, what are you going to do? You got to. So every time you do. And Trump just stuck the shim in. Okay? Because now, if any Democrat goes on Fox, I'm like, no, we got to have Trump, acting Trump to make a fan in an I am. But you can, apparently he sees a lot in Nami that he likes. I mean, he just completely took the oxygen out of their talking point. Because election night, you'd have never known it was New Jersey or Virginia or anything like that. It was all, the socialists of the world, workers of the world unite or anything. And it was amazing. And it was amazing to see how little about the kind of people that stick with him and how willing he is to knife him, if you will. When I think they'll probably learn one day, but I don't win.
So in that election that you've just referenced, we had two moderate candidates in Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey and Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. You had Zoran Mamdani speaking a much more, well, he would say he's a democratic socialist, although he frantically seems to be moving to the middle now. What do you think is the future of the actual Democratic Party?
So let's do a little unwrapping here.
Mm-hmm.
It's Madame, because we have to ask about Madame. Madame is the okay. Let's start with something. The mayor of New York has never been a figure in national politics. Let me repeat. The mayor of New York has never been much of a figure in national politics.
I'm not sure they would all agree with you with that.
Ain't more that went anywhere. Couple tried, they went nowhere. John Lindsay, Rudy Giuliani, most disgraced person in America. Are you kidding me? LaGuardia? No, I don't think so. So I think New York clocks in about 8 million people, New York City, right? Between New Jersey and Virginia, you're looking, I don't know, probably 17, 18 million people. Right? So why is the obsession with one city? And by the way, what about the Georgia Public Service Commission, the Mississippi State Senate, the Pennsylvania Retention, the California Ballot Initiative, all of the in upstate New York, there were huge shifts in these county commissions. Well, we must talk about Montgomery because New York is the center of the universe, that nothing else exists in the United States but New York. When in fact, the city of New York is not it's a big player in finance, it's a big player in the theater, it's a big player in the advertising, it's a big player in creativity. One of my favorite cities in the entire world. In fact, I'm going there tomorrow. I can't wait. But you're not the center of the political universe. You're just not. You're not even in a swing. You're not even a swing place. And if it wouldn't be for your money, politicians wouldn't much care about it.
I'm deducting from that you're saying the future of the Democratic Party is going to be moderate.
Right now, the Democratic Party does not have a message. It can't have a message. It doesn't have nominee. It has an argument. These people have to be stopped. We need somebody in the Congress to stand up to. That argument is going to win you a lot of elections. The only way that you're going to have a message is Democratic voters are going to pick their presidential nominee. That way, the Montgomery people, the socialists can have somebody, the Bidens can have somebody, somebody else can have somebody, and sit down and run. And then the commentariat was not picked. Who's going to lead the party? The actual people who voted for the primaries are going to pick the big person who's going to lead the party.